Awesome. Thank you. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, and I'm here with my good friends Dan and Catherine. And I'm not sure if anybody else is jumping on today either. Karen was in the chat a little bit ago, so I would think that she was going to jump on too, but I don't know. Maybe she's having computer problems. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Tao Te Ching Verse 73 as interpreted in Wayne Dyer's book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. But before I get started, I just want to give my friends an opportunity to introduce themselves. And for those of you who are watching this as a recording, if you want to participate with us, you can click the links below the video to join our Facebook group, to find instructions for joining us in this video chat or calling in too. You can do that. And okay, so jump out, guys.
I guess I'll be first and jump out. I'm Dan Sissick. I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, right now, where we've been kind of in a heat wave, and they're talking about it to be going down over the next, I guess, like few days or week because of a storm going through in California. But we're getting cooler winds and cold front or whatever coming through, so that'll be nice. It'll help with my power bill a little. So with that, but looking forward to going over the verse and seeing what we learn.
Good morning, it's Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado. Looking forward to the verse.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, the weather, man. I guess we're supposed to have record highs today and tomorrow, like up in the 90s. And this is, I don't know, it's June, so 90s, that'll be all right, I guess. I don't know. We don't get the 90s that often over here in Indiana, but it's nice right now, which is beautiful. I love this weather in the morning out here because we get the morning sun on the other side of the building, and then so that makes for a nice, comfortable morning over here. But then the afternoon, it gets really hot. So, but that's okay. That's okay. My mornings are the time where I like to sit out here anyway and enjoy myself in this beautiful weather. Okay, so let's talk about this verse, or let's read the verse first. You have the book, Dan? You want to read it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
The 73rd verse. Bold actions against others lead to death. Bold action in harmony with the Tao leads to life. Both of these things sometimes benefit and sometimes endure. It is heaven's way to conquer without striving. It does not speak, yet it is answered. It does not ask, yet it is supplied with all that it needs. It does not hurry, yet it completes everything on time. The net of heaven catches all. Its mesh is coarse, but nothing slips through.
Thank you, Dan. Morning, Chris. Glad to have you on.
Morning. Thank you very much. I'm a late riser today.
No problem. We're just glad to have you on.
Thanks.
So this verse, this is kind of an interesting verse. You know, some of it I'm just like, what is it talking about? I had to read through the chapter to really get an idea of how to talk about this verse. I mean, a lot of it is kind of, you know, makes sense in a lot of ways, but then other parts I'm just like, What did you guys think when you first read the verse?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
I just did. Let me think about it a second.
I think, you know, kind of like at the beginning, it, you know, obviously to me it makes sense. You know, the bold action against others leads to death. I'm sitting here thinking, you know, in terms of like revenge, you know, when somebody is out for revenge, not only does the person they're trying to seek revenge on have injuries happen to them, but a lot of the times that person who is seeking the revenge can cause difficulties in their own life, maybe even their own death or consequences they didn't even think about. I mean, I think that there's that action or just irrational behavior, or not even irrational. That's not really the right word. More like just rash behavior, acting without thinking because of whatever's happening in your life, and you're just like reacting versus absorbing what's happening, thinking it through, and then taking the right kind of action that can be beneficial rather than just running right out into traffic to get your ball and hoping for the best, right? I don't know. That was kind of my thought on that part.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of agree with you, because as I started reading a little bit into the chapter where, he talks about here in the second paragraph on one page, he says, here in the 73rd verse, you're encouraged to be respectful, cautious, being under the net of heaven. All the translations I've studied say the same thing in different words. Here's one verse that's brief and to the point, and I think I like it better than the way it's over here. It says, reckless bravery, death; cautious bravery, life. Therefore, the sage behaves in a cautious manner. And I think that goes back to what you were saying, that, um, there are times to be brave and, courageous and stuff like that in the face of certain times, but don't be a fool about, when you do those things, or when you want to try and, you know, exert something or get something done. I think, kind of like goes with the old saying, you attract more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Those type of things. It's being in the harmony and being in the flow of what's going on rather than against it. And I think that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And then as far as, that down at the bottom where it says the net of heaven catches all, that kind of just, kind of to me, it encapsulates how I look, like at God and the universe. He's got it all, or the universe has everything all caught together and encapsulated. Nothing really escapes or gets away from it. It just we may see different views and aspects of it depending on how we're operating in alignment with the universe or with God, or infinite intelligence, however you call it, that gives us the opportunity to see the broader picture, or we're stuck in a very narrow here, and which might cause us to react the way we react.
That's good, Dan.
Welcome, Marjorie. Welcome, Karen. Glad to have you guys on today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We're just sharing our first thoughts on this verse after reading it. Did you have something you wanted to jump out with, Chris? Go ahead. I just wanted to welcome everybody.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Okay. I was saying no, that was it. Bold action, yeah. That I thought um what he just said that made a lot of sense, Mm. And hold on, I gotta get my thoughts together. But a bold action, I don't know. I guess that was making me thinking of fighting, or people who fight. Sometimes that's totally like, I know somebody who says, "Oh, we were always tough guys," like that. That's kind of a grosser level of this. It's not really a very spiritual or wide view, but like that kind of thing is what starts fights. When people try to just do rash behavior like that. It's the first thing that's popping into my head right now. Maybe I need some coffee.
I thought that was you boozing with your glass there. You don't need coffee then. Oh, okay. All right. I see it. H2O. I was looking at this line that says, it does not ask, yet it is supplied with all that it needs. I happened to watch E-Motion, the movie or the documentary on Gaia last night for, I don't know, the second, maybe the third time. And Neil Donald Walsh at the end shares a story about, I guess I'm not clear on exactly the couple that's involved, but they're an older couple, and the man is passing away, and he asks his wife to get her ear down to his lips. He says, I'm only going to be able to say this once, but I want you to know that I don't know, I need to get something fixed here. I want you to know that when you lift your head off the pillow every morning, that you have everything you need. And I thought, well, this is cool. It does not ask, yet it is supplied with all that it needs.
Yeah, I really like that line, resonated with that line too. I was thinking about everything in nature and how it just all works perfectly, and like even in our own bodies, how they operate basically on their own. I mean, we feed them, but they are animated without us doing anything. And it's just really amazing to witness.
Yeah, that one line, it reminds me of something that I don't know, I read or learned about meditation, and how, you know, a lot of times we think that the only way to meditate is to like clear your mind out and then focus on something that you want, you know, maybe visualize it, or do, you know, like creative visualization and that sort of thing, or like we learned in psycho-cybernetics of, you know, imagining yourself in the situation that you want, or so many of them, they all say, you know, get these ideas in your head and then focus on those things. But then, and this other training or thing that I was reading about meditation, it was saying that basically you don't have to ask for anything. You don't have to visualize anything. All you have to do is be in a state of gratitude and trust within your meditation. And Wayne talks a lot in some of his other books about the sound of God, and like doing, I can't remember what he calls it, but basically it's just saying the word of God, and it's just like ah or oh as you're doing your meditation, and just focusing on that energy vibration. And it's basically what they're saying is just being connected with God, with the universe, with that, the net that it's talking about there, or the net of heaven. And that by just having that attitude of gratitude and the knowing that you're taken care of, and trusting that all comes together in the way that it's supposed to. And, you know, sometimes we get so caught up in what we're trying to achieve, and we get ourselves all stressed out, then we get in this kind of vibrational energy of trying to force things to happen. Whereas if we just allow, then we open ourselves up to so many more possibilities of it happening in a different way. I mean, in the teachings of Neville Goddard, he talks about the same kind of things. You know, it's like, you know, think about the things that you're, you know, wanting to achieve in your life, and don't cut yourself off from possibilities by narrowing your vision of how you want it to happen. You just open yourself up and be thankful that it is already done. It is done. Have that feeling of it is done, and allow it to just happen. And you know, a lot of times when I get stressed out or upset or emotionally frustrated or depressed or whatever it is, and I don't always know what it is that's causing me that feeling. I don't know. I can't even describe it. I would say that probably the closest words to describe it is kind of like a feeling of depression. It's like it comes over me without necessarily me thinking about something specific. It's just that it comes like in these weird waves where, I'll be all kinds of happy, and then the next day all of a sudden I'll just be like, and when I get into that kind of funk, as I'll tend to do meditations where I just remember that I am connected to connected to God or the net of heaven, or that all is well and everything's perfect with the world. And then it kind of helps to ease that. And then I can come back into my happy place again. I mean, it seems so silly that you can just trust everything to work out the way that it's supposed to and not try and force it so much. But it's amazing how just things happen the way they're supposed to. So anyway, that's my thought for now.
I would like to jump on what your thought was, because this last week or so, especially within the last few days, as I've been at work and doing stuff, I'm allowed to listen to my headset and listen to music and stuff, and I have lots of music I listen to, and this week I was listening to a lot of particular kinds, which kind of really uplifted me, really. But there was one day when I was at my church, and I got there really early and stuff, and had a couple 3 hours. So I just kind of went off in one of our, because we have a school there too. I went into one of those classrooms, and just kind of shut the door, kind of was in there, and just started listening to a bunch of very particular music that I love and stuff like that. And just it was weird because I just kind of went with the flow of whatever I decided I wanted to play. I just kind of clicked around and said, "Oh, that song just kind of resonates with me." And for me, that's how I think that's kind of how I meditate. It's kind of how I just get into and I wasn't really focused on anything. I was just trying to connect in that sense. And as I was going through that, that's kind of how towards the end of this week, some of the things that I've been wanting to see kind of happen within some personal stuff kind of has materialized. And I'm just kind of like, in that sense, it's like I didn't really speak. I didn't really ask. The universe knew what I've been needing, but I wasn't in a hurry about it either at that point. I was just like, whenever, however, I just need some levelness for myself, best way to put it. And I think that's for me where, getting in that net and that, connectedness kind of really, helped, kind of brought me back to a center, I guess, so to speak. And I think that's, even though it's a little off kind of what this subject is, but just what you were saying kind of, made me realize that, because I'm not good at meditation for some, or the way most people show it. But when I get into my music and stuff and really can really just have time with me and nothing else around, I can really so connect in that way. And I think that's when my vibrations go up. That's when I go up, and that's when I get to, and I get a refreshing, I guess, so to speak. But then it leads me into this other part where it says, it does not hurry yet, it completes everything on time. And how can the Tao hurry up? Imagine giving such a request to heaven. And this is what really got me, and it really stuck out, is I'm tired of winter and insist that you bring me bring me spring flowers in the middle of these long freezing nights. How often have we all been in those moments where we really just like, I hate winter, so I really resonate with what this is saying. It's like, no, I'm done with this winter. Bring me the 100-degree weather, bring me the heat. But in that moment, I'm robbing myself of whatever is in those moments and in that time by focusing so much on what I want, just because it's more palatable to me and makes me feel. But what might I be missing out in this time if I don't take the time to enjoy it for what it is and what it brings? And I think that's some of what I do in my business. I want my business to be so there. And even after 4 or 5 years of working on this, I'm not there yet. And it's like, I want it, I want it, I want it. So I can quit stressing, quit struggling, quit, going through all. But who's to say I'm not still going to have those things? It's just going to be in different forms. So, why not learn and enjoy and get what I'm supposed to get out of it now, and go back and let the net take care of, the net of heaven take care of what it's supposed to take care of, and build and refresh and strengthen myself to receive everything that I'm supposed to receive.
Oh, that was good, Dan. You said a couple good things. First, you were mentioning about how you were getting into your how you were getting into your mental space by going and listening to some music in a positive environment in church, and that sort of carried on from what Samantha was just saying. She was saying, I don't know, some days I feel a little off. I would almost call it depression, and that's a really interesting thing, because like a lot of days I have some sleeping problems. And so sometimes I'll get up and I'll be like, okay, I just don't feel up to that 9 or 10 level where I feel really pretty in harmony with things, where I can like take charge. And yesterday was I got maybe 4.5 hours sleep, so I was kind of like not all there. I woke up and I was kind of like, well, how do I feel? I don't exactly know. But then I decided to just do positive things, and I was like, I was watching some Bob Proctor video, and it was a meditation about how you're perfect in harmony with the universe. It is amazing what you're thinking is definite. That's why we don't realize the law of attraction a lot of times, because we are manifesting our experience of things the moment we're thinking of them, and we are constantly thinking. So we're experiencing what we're thinking as it's happening. So the law of attraction is happening simultaneously. And then like whenever we say stuff, it's happening like right away. So yeah, that's cool. And I don't know. That's all I have to say.
I went back a little bit to that movie again, or that documentary again, which I really highly recommend. Again, it's E-Motion. It's on Gaia, but you might be able to see it on the web, because you can go to www.e-motion.com. No, themovie.com. But the stress of that is how our emotions hold our past. And I realize in listening to, I wonder if I'm going to be able to think of his name. I can see him, I can see his face, and his name is not coming. If my son is here, he's just ready to lock me away all the time. Okay, we'll take you to that place where your sister is. Shoot, I wish I could think of his name. Just such a cool guy. Gosh. But anyway, I do that a lot. I do. I've had my sister and a number of other people talk about, and I've really broken away from it quite a bit lately. But before, it was really bad, where the past was just kind of a constant running diatribe in my head, and so the feeling, you're feeling good and you're smoothed out and you're just enjoying life, and then all of a sudden it's like you get tripped up on the carpet. You're just walking and there you are. And you go, what? I've certainly noticed that, and unfortunately, I'm hoping these days are gone. But with anxiety attacks, it's like, here I am, buzzing down the freeway, singing at the top of my lungs, having a great time, looking around at everything, and then all at once I've got this thud, and what brought that on? And it's really difficult a lot of times to go. In fact, I think I've only successfully one time been able to figure out what that was. It's just fascinating to me how much we really have that we can learn about in our in our lives to improve ourselves and to be able to grasp, how all of these things interlace with us. And I'm just amazed. Um, I'm thinking that probably yet in this conversation, I'll probably share another thing that I picked up on yesterday that I'm just astonished. I don't know if this was a spelling error in my particular set of scriptures or what, but there is a scripture somewhere where the word is astonished. The people were astonished, not astonished. They were astonished, and I think, it's kind of like being stoned in the head. Yeah, that's where I've been. I've gotten it. I like that too. So thanks.
Sounds like a typo, Karen. Yeah, I don't know. Something comes up into my head, and that is kind of like a scale. So sometimes I'll feel like of how I feel. Like I won't actually put the number out there, but in my head, in the back of my head, I kind of have like, oh, here, let me show myself again. I was grabbing some coffee. It'll be like, okay, I kind of feel like a 6 today, or I feel between a 6 and a 4, or I feel like an 8. And so then what we're experiencing is constantly changing. And one thing I noticed about, 2 or 3 days ago, I did 3 or 4 things in a row that were really positive. Something like meditation, hypnosis, and affirmations all in a row. So what happened then is I had like a really good later afternoon or the evening. And so like, you were saying like you feel like you get caught up on the rug or something like this. So we're constantly experiencing like wherever we're at, and wherever we're at is a momentum from every preceding moment. And so, and then whatever we think is what we're experiencing. And then if we say it, we like actually like manifest it. So once it's the level of thought where like we're experiencing it internally, and then like you can like really turn things around if you start to sometimes it'll be tough, but also you've probably had this experience. You've had a really great part of one day, and then later on in the day it'll change to a really tough day, or a really tough day, and then later on in the night it'll be a fantastic evening. So you never know when things can change and things can really turn around. So I think it's kind of like a momentum thing, and like don't get caught up on it too much, and just like, try to do your best, but sometimes there'll be a momentum or a number of things going against you, and it sort of takes you down that way. I think I'm just like completely freestyling off the verse here, but I was just following the thoughts, so thanks.
Oh, hi, it's Marjorie. I should speak up. I do you mind if I read it again, because I'm still gathering my thoughts. Well, I think overall, I won't read it again. I think basically what I got from the verse, and I joined a little late, so I hope I'm not repeating anything that someone's already shared, but I got the sense of just, us as beings walking and being here on earth in this lifetime, and the whole sense of what I got from the verse is just that we are very powerful beings. And so there's really nothing we need to do. We just are, we just exist. That we've been created by the Creator in same exact image, and we've just forgotten exactly who and what we are, which is divine beings. So I just got the sense that we have everything within us. Everything is in our power. We have all these beautiful capabilities. We're not using them, but that's what we really are, and how we should really be living life. And I think for those who are awake and striving, we may not be the super powerful beings that we truly are in action, but when we live in truth of knowing exactly, our essence, which is divine, and even if we're not able to utilize it easily and fully in this particular lifetime, if we at least are awake to knowing that, then that's how we live life, is at ease. Nothing is an effort. So there's a lot here that I connected with, and not picking it up right away, but that's my sense. Is it was just this verse is a reminder to us that that's how we really are. That's how our life really is, and it's just really beautiful. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
I really love the very last sentence of this. The net of heaven catches all. Its mesh is coarse, but nothing slips through. I am guilty of it myself in many ways, but it often gets most brought to my attention typically by people of certain religions that tend to, I think, misinterpret the teachings and pretty much condemn anybody that doesn't think exactly like they do, or follow the same beliefs that they do or whatnot, and of course, if you go back and trace religion and all of the different cultures, they all have a very similar story, and some of them happened thousands of years before certain books were written. So who's to say, what is the truth and what is not? But for me, having had the out-of-body experience I had talking to Jesus and being told that there's no judgment, this sentence confirms that the net of heaven catches all. Its mesh is coarse, but nothing slips through. And even though here, we tend to look at things and judge, and we've spoken about this before, even some of the most, what we consider horrid acts, unforgivable acts or whatever, that we see happen. And we, tend to think, well, they're not going to heaven or whatever. Yeah, they are. Heaven catches all. I love that, because it's a reminder that, even the person that we look upon their behavior and detest that behavior, if you want to take it down to a really basic function, I mean, as a creature of God, as a creation of God, I guess what I want to say, a manifestation of God, their we'll take it right down to body functions. Their body functions, just like everybody else's. God doesn't, they do a bad act one day and God says, oh, well, your heart's not going to beat for 3 hours today or some shit. It's not like, people are judged. Yeah, sometimes karma comes back and you get a taste of what you put out, but it's not like we have this, or at least in my experience, I have not experienced this judgmental, spiteful, punishing God who, just sends down lightning bolts and kills people because he doesn't like what they do or something. So I really love this last sentence.
Thanks for sharing that, Catherine. After I was reading this and kind of thinking, I don't know what it was that it kind of sparks this. I guess that it's kind of those beginning sentences about the, bold action and things that are in harmony with the Tao lead to life, and conflict sometimes benefits, sometimes injures. And, we talk a lot about nature, and as if nature is the example of how we should be, right? And, we look at, I don't know, how do we want to define nature? That's kind of my question. Okay, if we define nature as just the plants and the trees and the sky and the clouds and blah, blah, sometimes trees fall on houses. Sometimes they fall on people. Sometimes clouds have thunder and lightning strikes down. And if we include the animals in our definition of nature and what is right or wrong or whatever, then, we can look out and we can see that the animals aren't always in harmony with each other, or aren't always seemingly in harmony with each other. Out here on this lake, every single freaking day, the geese are like going at each other, fighting with one another. The ducks do the same thing. And, if we look at, nature shows where we see that the lions are attacking their prey, and the bulls are fighting with each other over the females, and what's so when you bring up this side of this aspect of, we've got to realize that we all are one and the same. It's just a matter of what your point of view is as to whether or not you think that what is going on elsewhere in the world is right or wrong. It's all based on personal interpretation and worldly choices, worldly beliefs. It doesn't have anything to do with the true nature of the Tao, because everything, like you said, everything is part of it, whether it appears to be good, whether it appears to be bad. And we just have to realize it's not good or it's not bad. It just is. It just is, because even our societal things that we think, okay, right now this thing is wrong and that thing is right, over time those things change. They completely change. It used to be that a woman who dealt with healing through herbs and stuff like that was thought of as a witch and evil, and they would murder them by fire, and now somebody who heals with herbs and needles, acupuncture, things like that are thought of as very intelligent and intuitive and helpful. And I've said this before, what is the difference between right and wrong? It's a matter of opinion. It's majority vote. It's not sent down by some all-knowing being who, is going to rain fire on you if you don't do the right thing. I mean, We can talk about that for hours, but I'm right there with you, Catherine. It is. I mean, the net of heaven does catch all. I mean, we're already in it. And, you know, when we realize that we are all one, and that we just have to remember, I mean, just when you're out there driving on the road, I mean, it's as simple as this. You're out there, you're driving on the road, and someone cuts in front of you, right? And you're like, oh, God, you know, why did this person do this thing to me? They're so horrible. They're torturing me by cutting me off in traffic, right? Well, that person who's driving that car is seeing it from a completely different perspective. They're driving along and they're like, oh shit, I have to get off at this exit. I gotta get over. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just driving, you know, sorry. You know, they're not going, ha, I'm gonna cut this person off just because I want to be an asshole today, you know. I don't know. It's funny to me because it's just all a matter of perspective, you know. I mean, yeah, there's some stuff that really seems horrible in our world, you know, whether it's people doing it or whether it's nature doing it. I mean, shoot, nature sends freaking tsunamis to kill thousands and thousands of people, and earthquakes and tornadoes. I mean, nature kills people constantly, but we aren't sitting there going, nature is evil, are we? So I think it's an interesting topic. Okay, I'm done talking for now.
Well, I think you kind of, brought out some good points between you and Catherine, that, you know, we as humans are also a part of nature. You know, we're part of that whole scheme of things, and we're and it was all designed and put in place by the universe, God, however, whatever, we call it. Um, and there is a sense and an order and all that, but we don't know that sense and order because we weren't the one that created it. So in that sense, uh, um, it's in seeing our universe through our eyes, and then applying it, I think, as best as we can, and moving our way through it, as in peaceful harmony with it as best we can. And yet, we don't have the uh the instruction book that tells us that, oh, in this do this, and this and do that, and this. We're left to our own devices in a way, but to still be in connection with the universe and God and everything, to where hopefully the choices we make are the ones that uplift and build and grow and add and bring value to what's out there, rather than to destroy, break down, break apart, bring this, decisiveness and things and stuff like that. So I think that's, I think you brought out some good points, that, and we all have our different perspectives on that. And it's, and yeah, things have changed over years. Certain things were very taboo way back when, where they're not so taboo now, or they were accepted way back when, and we look at them now and go, ooh, yuck, how, so I think that's, another thing to look at and take into aspect of how we move forward and what we do, and how we walk out walk through our moment in existence on this plane.
You know, another thing that just popped up for me in this thought process of, you know, wrong versus right, is it all depends on so many, it's like socially accepted norms or whatever you want to say, and we like to condemn individuals for hurting other people. And I'm not saying that it's not horrible when that happens, but if it's an individual, it is so wrong, so evil, so bad. But if it's an entire government, it's okay. It's all right. They can go over there and murder a whole bunch of people, and it's no big deal. You know, it's all right. If it's war, it's okay to murder lots and lots of people. But if it's an individual, we are going to burn you at the stake. Mofo. I'm sorry. I'm done talking about this. Somebody else jump out and say something.
I was going to say that one of the spiritual teachers that I follow has been talking about for a long time, and this is actually part of my daily prayers and requests, you know, is eternal peace and God's infinite abundance. And the understanding is that from the heaven world, that the message is this is the greatest need that we have here right on earth, because we've gotten so far from how we were originally created. And so that gives me a lot of comfort to know that that's exactly what we've been aiming for, you know, for so long. And what is happening in the world is that all that power is there now, that all the movement, the things that are improving, that are helping to raise our vibrations, you know, for the planet and the universe and for ourselves, all that is happening, and what it's bringing is exactly the eternal peace and God's infinite abundance. And so I'm thinking about this verse that we're studying this morning, and how, you know, my sense was that we're powerful beings, and that's just who and what we are, and so it's within us, and there's, you know, not a lot of struggle really needed if we really were living how we were truly designed. So that's just what I wanted to share, because it was the full moon yesterday. It's really still the full moon, and one of the things that is in the monthly letter that just came out for the month of June is that, you know, this is a powerful full moon, and it occurs, you know, in the sign of Gemini. It's actually Sagittarius in the zodiac sign is Sagittarius. The full moon is in Sagittarius, and continued on in this monthly letter that this moon is celebrated around the world. I don't know this stuff, I'm just reading it and saying, oh wow, interesting, is that this is really the goodwill festival of humanity. It's a celebration that is an expansion of light from the path of divine love, and that this comes during the Passover and Easter full moon. And so all this stuff is just beautiful to know. It gives me comfort to know that I live in a really a true world of all this support and all this beautiful design. So I just wanted to share that with all of you, because that gives me a lot of, you know, power and energy and desire and support to keep on going, because we all need that, and we're all so important in our contributions every day to give out our energy. Someone had said that that's what we do the minute we speak, and it's so true with our feelings and our thoughts. You know, all our actions, our words, everything we imagine, everything is so, because we really are creative beings. We're created by Creator to be creative, and so we are creative. You know, we need to be aware of that every moment, and because that's really what that really is our gift back for having been created and living this lifetime, is to be creative. So think about that you know, we're creative in just being alive, and then we're even more creative when we create businesses or have families and raise children and things like that. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to share for now. Thank you.
I guess it's final thought time, 5 minutes till. I I have something to share. I specifically hope that Karen's awake and listening right now. Because you said something earlier about how you can just be driving down the road, and Samantha, you mentioned it too, like things are going fine and all of a sudden you find yourself overcome with the state of depression. I really think you guys are growing your empathic abilities, whether you know it or not. And I will, even though I'm like a quote experienced empath, like I understand that I pick up on other people's energies and things, sometimes I forget how powerful that can be. And I had a great reminder over the past couple of days, because I had I got some news that, you know, rattled me. I wasn't expecting it, and it kind of rattled me, but like at the same time, the emotional reaction that I was having to it was so over the top. Like even while I was having it and sobbing, I'm like stepping out of myself and looking at myself going, what in the hell is wrong with you? Like this is not the appropriate reaction for what's going on, because you already know that this is going to be taken care of because such and such is happening and blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, like I'm just sobbing, you know, I'm in this like huge emotional release. And then the phone rings, and it's somebody that I have bonded with really closely as a brother. And he had just, you know, come to the conclusion, made the decision that he was going to have to put his dog down of 14 years, you know, and he was completely grief stricken. And the minute I heard him on the phone, and I like felt his vibration, I recognized it within myself, and I realized that I was empathing him, and that's why I was having this totally out of context reaction to what was going on. So when those states of depression or whatever hit you, always remember, and I'm saying this to remind myself, because I should have, when I was questioning why I was acting that way, I should have remembered to ask this question: is this mine? It's a very simple question. Is this mine? Because a lot of times it's not yours. And driving down the road, you can go, as an empath, you can drive over like where an accident has happened, and you can pick up all of the energy signatures that are left there from that. It's really, it can really affect you. And you just have to be, you know, when you get into these states of extreme emotion, remind yourself, I'm saying this to remind myself, you know, remind yourself that what you're experiencing may not be all yours. It may not be any of it yours. And those of us who are mothers, we have, boy, we're really connected to our kids, and even more so to our grandkids. And somehow, like, it's just crazy. I don't know how you can be so connected to people, but like sometimes I am feeling things, and they're from my daughter and they're from my son, and I kind of learn, you can kind of learn to sense the difference in the energy signatures if you're aware enough to be looking for them at the time. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, and it's been a great discussion. I love you guys. Thanks for showing up.
I'll jump out and I'll give my last little bit. Yeah, it was interesting getting on here this morning when there was only three of us at first, and we're like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and get started. And then all of a sudden, people started showing up to fill in. So that's, you know, kind of says to the fact right there, what needs to be taken care of will be taken care of. You know, and this was even though I hadn't really read the verse before today, but in getting into it and stuff, it's really given me some stuff to think over and to work with, to kind of carry with me, you know, for this next week, and hopefully carry it on, you know, throughout out, because there are a lot of things I need to remember. Is like it says, the universe, we're all, caught or being held, or however you want to look at it, and nothing slips through and gets by and gets overlooked, and that's what I think the biggest thing I've gotten out of this today.
Sorry, I have to jump out and say one more thing. My guides are like screaming at me. The other thing is to, pay attention to your guides talking to you. They may talk to you in different ways. You have to learn how they do it. I can't tell you how your guides can talk to you, but you figure it out. And if they give you a message, like to reach out to someone, and I'm bringing this up because this group actually, we are like a group of entrepreneurs, and we all run businesses. And sometimes people are very, they're afraid to reach out and approach people about their business or whatever. If your guides tell you to approach somebody, do it. Because like I approached somebody a couple of days ago, and I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm saying this to prove a point that your guides give you important information. So I'm just doing my job, right? I'm doing my work here from home, and all of a sudden my guides tell me to contact this dude that I know. And I was super busy at the time, and I was like, I really don't have time to do that. They're like, no, you need to contact this dude. And I'm like, okay. So I reached out to him. And as it turns out, I gifted him into a program. He spent 15 years in Afghanistan as a soldier. And I think even more than that in some other war places, but when he came home, thank God he got home safe, but he had like a really hard time adjusting to civilian life. And then all kinds of crazy shit was happening in his family, where he had like 3 family members hospitalized at the same time. And, he just came back to he left a world of shit, and he landed in a world of shit, basically. And so anyway, to make it a long story short, he told me that if I had not contacted him that day, he was headed back to Afghanistan. So when God tells you to contact somebody, do it. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I never do anything else in my life, if I've saved somebody from going back to Afghanistan, I'm really, really happy. So listen to your guides.
Thanks for that great reminder, Catherine. Karen, Marjorie, do you have any final thoughts for today? Or Chris, did you already share yours, Chris?
Well, I suppose this is probably following my guides. I lay in bed last night before going to sleep. I could fall asleep in about half a second. I need to teach you some of my stuff, Chris. Get you all set up. Also, drink water at night too when you're sending out messages that are weird. Anyway, I appreciate truly the things that go on with this this forum every Saturday. I always look forward to it so much, and I just feel like it's such a special group of people who are truly real. I just want to say, and I do appreciate last week and the direction to look and consider about being an empath and all the different things that are involved with that. I think that that's got a lot of likelihood and potential in that. But I also want to say, as much as I feel, to stay away from doctors, hospitals, surgeries, big pharma, big pharma, it's important to be a little bit careful, with our beliefs and the dismissals that we make. We can dismiss the entire idea of mental illness, but I can tell you that there are people coming into mental illness every day looking for relief, and they're looking where they're directed to go. They're looking you know, with the knowledge that they have, um, and I just see all the time people who are so relieved that there's some kind of a label, there's some kind of a name, there's something that they can hang on to give them some direction, and it's not just being weird, it's not just being crazy, it's not just being loopy, it's not just being, totally out of control. Um, I say that because I've been on a mastermind with a woman. This is quite a few years ago now, and it was our Think and Grow Rich mastermind. And when you read the Think and Grow Rich, there's a part about being ill, and it includes being mentally ill. And Napoleon Hill's really clear that none of us have to be ill, and we don't have to be mentally ill. And occasionally somebody would just come out, timidly and say, well, I just learned that, I'm whatever. And this woman would just land on them with both feet. You don't have to be ill. You don't have to be mentally ill. You don't have, well, all these things take time. And the course of time for each individual, the route that you can go on can be a lot curvier than somebody else's. And I just want to suggest that it's really important that we be a forum where people can feel comfortable sharing what's going on and the help that they are seeking, and feel like they can ask, and they don't have to be treading lightly, feeling like they're walking amongst landmines. I apologize if I've been offensive. I really, it's not my intention to do that, and it is kind of my manner. So I apologize if that's the case. Thank you.
Hey, if we're getting close to this, I want to clear something up with Karen, but when we're getting at the end of this meeting, if you could stay on just for a minute when we're done, I want to speak about something with you, Karen, just real quickly. Anyway, just had to say that. That was my guide.
Will do.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate all the reminders. Marjorie, did you have any final thoughts before we wrap up for today?
I think basically, what we are is energy beings, and we truly are. We're vibrational beings, magnets, and so our whole world is the same, and things are escalating now, because we're ascending. And so the verse just makes me think about that everything is fine. Our true state is energy, and so we're supported in that way. So that's all I wanted to say was, and all our health, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever, it's all related to energy. And so if we could all just really realize that about ourselves, I think that we'd be like, we'll be super zooming, toward what we all wish for, because we all have wishes and dreams and things like that. And if we would just hold on to, that's our reality is energy, I think we'd all be really safe and happy and manifesting. So that was really it. Thank you.
Thanks, Marjorie. Thanks, everybody, for sharing your thoughts today and your suggestions and your knowledge and your wisdom. It's so very appreciated. And I know that, sometimes we see very, very passionate about specific thought processes and the way that we see the world. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, we should all be passionate about what we think. But we also should be open to what other people think too. And that is a huge part of why we do this mastermind, is so that we can share our own knowledge and wisdom, and then be open and listen to other people's knowledge and wisdom, so that we can all grow and become our best selves, right? So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.